easy so that the coders can develop more on coding the program than the configuration. Also in Spring Boot, the Tomcat is embedded, so you don't have to really explicitly like create a server or something, like include a server. Or if you want to change it from Tomcat to Jetty or JBoss, you can do that in using pom.xml. And also in Spring Boot, they've added starter project like Spring Starter Web. So stuff like this. So you have many starter projects, starter dependencies over there. So it basically helps in like starting your the application. So you don't have to mention so many different jars. So all that will come under the starter web itself. So yeah, these are one of the main things. And also there are a few annotations which are like combination of the annotations from Spring. So yeah.
Yeah, and what is at the rate controller and at the rate rest controller?
So basically, at the rate controller gives, returns a model view object, and the at the rate rest controller returns, objects that are of different formats, like say JSON or XML. So yeah, at the rate
Okay,
rest
and
controller is combination of at the rate controller and at the rate response body.
okay, and which HTTP method you have been used?
We've used HTTP method like get, put, post. We use delete also. Yeah,
Okay, and what is the major difference between put and patch?
put and patch. So when you're like using put, so it's it'll update an entire like say row. Okay, so but when you're using patch, like you'll give a specified data for it, like it'll just update that one particular record, that's it.
Okay, and which version of Java you have been familiar with?
I'm familiar with Java 7 and Java 8.
Okay, can you explain what is the new enhancement in Java hash map regarding to 7 and 8?
Yes, so um, in Java 8, what they've done is like usually what happens when you're storing hash map, elements into hash map, when hash map collision occurs. So when in Java 8, what would happen is a linked list would get attached to that node, like when the hash value is same. So that particular value would go and sit in the linked list. But in in Java 8, they've used, they've introduced, instead of linked list, they've introduced a balancing tree to store this data.
And then share your screen. I have just sending a link on your chat box.
All
Just click it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just share my screen first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's a number. You want me to check the palindrome?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, done. Second highest number. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What do you mean by fail safe and fail fast iterator?
Uh, so basically the fail both like tells us how the iterator will work, like in a say in a multi-threaded environment. So fail safe iterators are the iterators that do not fail in a multi-threaded environment, as in like when you're doing two operations at the same time on a collection, then it'll not fail, so there'll be no exceptions or nothing like that. So these kind of iterators are fail safe
Uh,
iterators.
which type of exception it throw?
Say for example, there is concurrent modification
Yeah, that's
exception.
what I
Yeah,
want to listen.
yeah. So while using concurrent, while using hash map, if you're doing two operations at the same time, then this exception, concurrent modification exceptions will come. So to avoid that, concurrent hash map was introduced. And yeah, so fail fast iterators are the ones that will like fail in a multi-thread when you're
Okay,
doing multi-thread environment. Yeah.
okay. And what is difference between concurrent hash map and synchronized hash map?
Mm, okay, so in a synchronized hash map, what happens is so the whole hash map will be locked. But in concurrent hash map, what happens is like the segment locking will happen. So that's the one of the main difference. Like you want to do two operations at the same time in a synchronized hash map. The like for the second operation to happen, it has to wait until the first operation is like totally done. That whole hash map will be locked. But in concurrent hash map segment, so it can have that segment can have just one node or any number of nodes. So that just that part will be locked and others like will be open. Yeah.
Okay, and what is why string is immutable?
String basically for one reason, save confidential information as string. So uh, like for security purpose, one say like password you'll have, right? So such kind of confidential information you can save, which you do not want anyone to manipulate or change. So that is one reason for security purpose, and one more reason is like for memory management. So what happens when you create, say you have a string s1 is equal to apurva, and you are creating string s2 is equal to apurva. So when you are creating s2, one more memory space will not be created in this like string pool. When you're creating s1, whatever memory is created, that s2 will reference for that memory itself. So second for memory management.
Yeah, it is kind of a copy. So which copy does a string follow?
uh, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's deep copy.
Yes, it's a deep copy only.
Okay.
Yeah, what is difference between deep copy and shallow copy?
Uh, no, I'm not sure about it.
Okay, and what is at the rate qualifier?
So in Spring Boot, what like if you have two beans that have the same return type, then when you give the like when the application loads, it will not be sure of which bean to select. Because it'll have same return type. So when you're using at the rate qualifier, that particular bean will be like taken as the one that qualifies like for the like when the application loads, that will be
Okay,
considered.
and why we use at the rate profile?
At the rate profile is basically to say like which profile you are pointing your application to. Say you have dev, qa and prod. These are the profiles that you'll have. So you'll have different properties in those application files. Like you'll have yeah, so at the rate profile, when you give you'll be giving which profile it should be pointing to. So the application will run on those properties.
Okay, and what is Spring Boot actuator endpoint?
So Spring Boot actuator, you basically use to monitor the health of an application. So you have different like endpoints when with actuator. You have health, you have info, you have log. So it basically is used to monitor the health of the application.
Okay, it's it's by default there is. If we want our health check endpoints, so how will we inbuild in that Springboard?
Can you come again? Like you want like customized
No, yeah, I want a customized health points.
health point.
Means, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, you can create a controller of your own and like say what you want to do with that endpoint, and yeah, it'll work.
In Spring Boot, I am asking. Suppose I don't want any actuator endpoint and I want another. So if I don't want, I can exclude it. So if I want, then whatever. What happens?
Uh, I'm not sure. I mean, that's what I had thought. Like, if you want a customized endpoint, then you can just create a controller and you can give a request mapping over there and say that you can use it, like do some
Okay.
operations in that controller and use it.
Why we use microservices?
Microservice is basically uh, okay, so say you have, I mean, you before microservice we had monolithic architecture, right? So it is basically like if a part of the application fails, then the whole application would go down. So when it comes to microservice, it's a granular architecture. So you like you have independent services to do certain operations, like part of operations. So
Okay.
basically if one service goes down, it will not lead for the whole application to break. And also like you these independent services you can deploy independently. So if you have like any modifications to do and you have to add any feature in certain part of the application, then you can just do, I mean, change a particular microservice and then deploy it independently.
Okay. And you have mentioned that you have a knowledge on Unix also. Do you
Yes,
have?
yes.
So if I want to search which type of environment is running in my system, how can you find that? What is the command of that?
Um, which type of environment is running?
Yeah, which environment has been running. So for which command we can follow means find that.
I'm not sure. I can't recall at the moment.
Okay, no issue. You have been work on MySQL also. No?
Yes.
What is composite key?
Uh, opposite key. I can't recall.
Okay, and you work on Spin Data JPA.
Yes.
Okay, and Spring Data. If we want to means to inbuild a primary key on in a particular table. So in Spring Data GPA, how can we achieve that?
You want to build a primary key. What?
I want a primary key on a table. So how can we achieve that in Spring Data GPA?
So, okay. I'll just connect to the battery. So sorry. I should have told you.
Yeah,
Yeah, so in Spring Data JP, I mean, you'll have an entity class like where you'll mention what is the table that you're using. So in
yeah,
that entity class, you'll be mentioning what is the primary key. So you'll give at the rate ID for the primary key, and you'll also give at the rate generated value, so that like when
yeah,
you're
yeah. Okay,
adding
okay, that's what
a
I
new
want.
ID, you know, will be generated. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I am done
Okay.
with my. If
Okay.
you have any question,